On top 5 overrated movies.
Overrated movies.
Not your favorite movies, the movies that you have seen and that are overrated.
Boy, it's important that everyone understands we're not prepared for this. We've not talked about this ahead of time, right? We tasked him with coming up with some top 5 lists and then putting us on the spot. This one is like a brutal one to be put on the spot with. So that's that's an interesting one. Top 5 overrated movies. Well, I got one right off the bat. I got one. This movie. Look,
is this your number 5 or your number 1? Where we?
I don't know what it is, to be honest with you. I don't know because it's going to get me so pissed off when I talk about it. It might as well be number. I don't care what number it is. It could be number 1. It could be number 55. First thing that comes to my mind when I think about overrated movies. I've never tried to watch it again. Because I almost gave myself a concussion watching it the first time, beating my head up against the wall of the movie theater.
Oh no, I think
this is an award-winning movie. Award-winning movie. The Talented Mr. Ripley. Matt Damon. Gwyneth Paltrow, I think, is in this movie.
I believe you literally
train wreck. Yeah,
I believe
my head
you literally threw yourself against the wall in the movie theater. We're not joking. We went and saw this thing. You got up and ran at the wall and jumped and slammed yourself into the wall. Like this is not this is not a joke. You physically did that, and that was fantastic. That's a great pick.
Oh, yeah, A Talented Mr. Ripley is, in my opinion, and if I remember correctly, the director Anthony Mengele, not Mengele like the Nazi doctor. But honestly, similarly torturous to watch this movie because I will tell you, it was brutal. Jude Law in this movie as well, if I remember correctly. If memory serves, Matt Damon, Jude Law, Gwyneth Paltrow, and me tying a noose in the back of the theater. Brutally bad. If you've ever seen it, you hated it. If you liked it, don't tell us because I will straight up hate your guts if you ever admitted to liking this movie because you're stupid. And if you didn't see it, seriously, don't waste your time because it will end up being the last line of your suicide note that you watched this movie. So terrible, terrible movie. That's the right what comes to my mind when you talk about an overrated.
All right, T-Rock, you got one?
All right, yeah, I got one, and I maybe it just didn't match the hype. I thought Avatar was very overrated.
Nice choice.
I didn't get it. I didn't get it. I didn't get what all the hype was. Didn't get what that was on your list.
That was.
Everybody's getting all excited about another one coming up, and I'm like, I don't. There's no part of me that wants to see a part 2. I never wanted to see it.
Oh
my God, it was like $1 billion,
right? It was over $1 billion because I think Titanic was like $2 billion. And literally the coolest thing about that movie was the 3D glasses and like making you seasick watching the stupid movie. Literally, there's no plot to this movie. After I got done watching this, I was like, what happened? What did I just watch?
Terrible
Movie.
State of the art, whatever technology for the time. Visually incredible. But
incredible.
It's a terrible movie.
Oh, just a terrible movie. Very good. Yeah, that was on my list. That was actually probably my number 1. So yeah, very good. F.A., what you got?
Blair Witch Project.
Very good.
Boy, I don't honestly think I've ever sat and watched that whole movie.
I could not get through more than 15 minutes at a time, and there was just no way. There's just no way I could do it. Like the camera angles, like I know it's funny when Michael Scott makes fun of it, and you see the camera up close, and he's like, I'm in the woods. I'm so scared. I just can't. Like that whole thing, like people were going nuts about it. And I'm like, wow, like really, like it's not my cup of tea. You know,
it was unique. It was unique for that time. It like almost created its own little genre, but that doesn't make it a good movie.
Nope. No. I was the hype and the product for me was just, I was sold a bill of goods.
Yeah. Good choice
on that thing, like $10,000 or something
like that. Yes,
and it grossed like 50, 100 million or something. Just
50, 100 million.
I mean, good for them. I mean, they definitely made money. But I haven't recognized any of those actors in any of the movies.
Nothing. Nothing.
Well, the guy works in the deli at Walmart. But
that's why he's so angry.
He won't unwrap any lunch meat.
That's why he's angry.
Yeah, he's like, I'm gonna unwrap lunch meat. I was in the Blair Witch Project.
Man,
I think I need this for.
I opened up the refrigerator for that. I don't.
Yeah, I'm so scared.
My fingers are so cold.
All right. Anyone else have anything? I mean, I could rattle them off. I could rattle off a lot. But
all right, I'm probably going to take a couple people off on this one. But how about any Star Wars movie?
The Star Wars franchise. I think that's fair.
I will honestly fight you tooth and nail. I will fight you on that.
I've never ever seen the appeal in this. Like even as a kid, I was like, I don't get it. I don't know. I took my oldest to go see what was the Last Jedi. Is that the one where the dude finally died, Luke?
I don't know. I don't know.
Spoiler alert, guys.
Yeah, seriously.
I literally almost fell asleep in that. And it was just so long, and I'm like,
and the music.
What is the appeal about this?
It's like morning meditation music throughout the entire thing.
Yes. Are you trying to put me to sleep? Like, is this?
Yeah.
So Jeff, you have any Star Wars movie? Wow, that's
all of them.
I will give you the 1, 2, and 3. I can't stomach those, but there's a whole freaking generation that grew up on those and they think they're great. And that the new ones that just came out, the 8, 9, and 10, or however the numbers go. Yes, maybe there is, some overhype on the movies and what people feel, but I think it's just what they have, just a personal connection to those movies, whether they like them or not. So I like them a lot. They're not in my top, top 5 movies, but I get the overhype of them. I hear you on that.
Well, and you're old, whatever, the first 3 that came out, they're like, look, they made a ship fly across the screen.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a pretty big deal back then. Like, this is crazy. Look, there's a robot moving. So I get maybe the emotional attachment to the moment. But I agree with Jeff. It doesn't seem like they really improved. And if you throw it out series, throw out the Twilight series as well. I don't know. Gosh. I didn't even watch any of them to know that.
I was just saying, I've never seen any of these.
Nope.
Vampire.
Yeah. I don't even know. Is it a vampire? I don't even know. All I know is it's overrated.
Yeah. I think one's a werewolf. Because, what is that whole team?
Team Jacob and Team Edward.
Oh, that's right.
That's what the posters on my wall said, but I like to
say, more than I do at that point.
It's just my tank tops. Just my tank tops said on them.
Bedazzled tank tops. Bedazzled tank tops.
Yeah, it was an event.
I will say, I watched, I literally couldn't tell you which one I watched. And I was like cinematically, the way it was shot, I was like, not bad. But then I was like, okay, it's just like werewolves and vampires for teenagers. It just, maybe we were just too old at that point when they came out. I don't know, but I didn't quite get the hype on that one either. So
yeah. Look, for me, honestly, I could also throw in pretty much every comic book movie, just for my personal taste. I don't care at all about Avengers. In my opinion, probably the best one was probably the first Iron Man. But man, I just have a hard time watching those movies. And then the new Superman movies, just brutally difficult to get through and dumb. And not only dumb, but just dumb in ways that just don't even make sense for Superman. I'm not the only person to have this criticism, but you're watching fist fights between him and some other guy, and they're smashing through office buildings where clearly lots and lots of people are dying here. You're fighting in the middle of a downtown city, destroying office buildings, throwing cars at each other and all this stuff. And it's people they got one part right, which is eventually everyone started to hate Superman, which makes a ton of sense to me, because if this dude is around, you are not safer. You are much worse off. You are much, much worse off. If Superman comes into town, like property values plummet, like you do not want this dude around, because if anything, it's the greatest time to commit crime. Like the looting and everything that would be going on with Superman. I mean, he's already smashed every building. Like every single place is like falling apart. The small businesses are shutting down. The Superman sucks. And so not only as a person, because I don't think he's a great guy, but then like this, the way that he handles himself in these situations is just terrible. Like walk away, man. And the thing is, you're from Kansas. Like, you know where cornfields are, and you can fly. And you can fly there incredibly quickly. So if you wanted to have this fight, you don't need to do it downtown. Like, you know exactly where to go. You own a farm. You could literally just go to your own field and have this fight. You want to do it in the middle of New York City. It doesn't make sense. You're not proving anything to anyone, bro. We know you're Superman. We watched you fly in here. I don't know. It's dumb.
Go to Antarctica. You know, I just picture like
go to the North Pole. It's not cold to you. You're not cold. You don't have anything to worry about. You got your tights on and everything. Just go. Like it's none of this is a problem.
I just pictured Geico damage adjusters at these movies. Go, we're not covering that. We're not.
Yeah. They're like, come on, man. No, thank you.
We're not covering this.
No. That's an act of God. He appears to be a god. I just don't understand that stuff. Like the moment for me when this is why I say I feel like the first Iron Man was maybe the best one, because it was the closest one to possibly being believable as like a thing that could happen. Outside of that, and again, believe me, that's a stretch, but outside of that, it's just like the moment that these things get like, oh, well, he's going to another planet, 17 solar systems from here. And, you know, he's got to dig up a hammer or whatever people do and like fight that dude with horns and all this. It's just like, come on, man. I don't know. I just can't. Well, I mean, it just doesn't hold my interest.
Well, I mean, you know, they are based off a comic book. Like this isn't based off a docuseries, right? So
no, I know.
Yeah, it's not real. It's also Tad. Why I don't read comic books. It's supposed to be real.
That's why I don't read comic books.
Like seriously, that world's not out there. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. I'm just like, okay, this is dumb. Like right away. So for me, they're always overrated because they're incredibly stupid.
For Jeff, all any those controversial top fives? Any in your list that you say is the controversial most overrated movie of all time? Like that's
Jeff or Hefe?
For Jeff, that's just going to anger people when you say it. Besides Star Wars,
oh man,
The Godfather.
Well, you know,
how dare you?
I wish they were more. I wish all the other two Godfathers were more like part 3.
Like
just all brought the thing together. First one was super confusing, like 2 or 3 big laughs.
I mean, it was cute when he put the orange in his mouth. That was
a heart attack.
Immediately died. I don't. Titanic.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's controversial, but I mean, it did make 2.2 billion. Like the whole, it was just weird because it's like 3 hours long, and you go into this movie already knowing like
the outcome.
The outcome, like, and then it takes like 2 hours for the ship to even like sink. It just, I think I had gone there with an ex-girlfriend, and it was literally like I literally walked out and was like, that is 3 hours of my life that I will never, ever be able to get back.
Well, and the only thing anybody remembers from that movie is the painting and her kicking Jack off the door at the very end.
That's right.
More than enough room.
There's clearly
more than enough room.
Clearly was enough room. She's like,
she's stretched
like the size of like, it's like a sliding glass door floating out there. Like you got tons and tons of room. Like it's a non-issue. We can make this work.
She's like,
I don't want to get my dress wet.
Seats taken.
Yeah.
Is there a little bit of a connection here? Isn't James Cameron directing of one of the movies that we put on the list, and now we have 2 of his movies on this list?
Yeah.
With Avatar and now the Titanic.
That's right.
I mean, he puts out stuff that makes money, and that's all the studios want anyway. So
no question.
Yeah, they don't care. No, so I had that. The Blind Side, I thought was terrible.
Yeah, not a big fan.
And she won an award for that. Like she won best.
It makes no sense to me. Yeah, I didn't get
that movie being made now. It's like, white family takes care of black men. Oh my gosh, that movie would get ripped to shreds. You know what's funny is Michael Ord didn't even like the movie, and the movie was about him.
He's like false. None of that happened.
I did not pour them lemonade. I never did that. Like why is that in there?
Never had one of these before.
So this was 2010. Who did she beat out for best actress?
You know who she beat out, Tim? And Gabrielle Sidibe.
Oh, good. Okay, well that's okay. Actually, I'm okay with that then.
And then it was
Precious, one of the great comedies of all time.
But she should have won that just for playing that role. That movie still, that's a movie I could never watch again. Do you remember watching that?
I never watched it the first time.
Never watched it.
Yeah.
The only thing I know about it was based on the novel Push by Sapphire.
Push by Sapphire. It was jacked up.
And honestly, if there's any Sapphire book, I'm there for, right? So I mean, all of and I'm not going to name them all, right? I'm not going to keep people here all night talking about my favorite Sapphire books, but the novel Push by Sapphire, certainly one of the greats. But never watched that movie, but pretty much the opposite of The Blind Side, I think.
So she beat out Helen Mirren and Meryl Streep as well.
So weird for The Blind Side.
That's insane. That is insane.
Karen, she, what was it? What was her name?
Leanne Toohey.
Leanne Toohey. Yeah.
Toohey.
Yeah. A literal Karen. She beat.
Yeah. Meanwhile, later, years later, she plays a blind lady in Bird Box, and it just goes straight to Netflix. And here she's just walking around cheering on a dude who was an offensive lineman at a high school football games, and she managed to beat Meryl Streep. So I don't understand. I think our judgment of movies has really changed over the years.
That was weird. Yeah, I don't get it. Yeah. Tim McGraw was in that, right? Yeah. Tim McGraw played,
the great Tim McGraw.
The great. Yeah. So those are mine. Avatar was on there. Titanic. Oh, you know what? Inception.
Interesting. I don't have any problem with Inception.
No.
Don't get me wrong. It's a straight head trip. I can't say I know what happened.
Did it fall? Did it fall at the end?
Did it wobble? Did it not?
But I mean, you think about this. The whole movie is about a thief who can enter people's dreams and get their get their deepest thoughts.
Worked for Freddy Krueger.
Well, that's what I'm saying. 40 years ago, this was already done by Freddy. Yep. I mean, Freddy going in there it was just way too convoluted. It was just too over the top. It just wasn't a good movie. I watched it once and I was like,
so you just didn't understand it, is what you're saying.
There was nothing to understand.
Still confusing.
It literally was people that could go into dreams, and that was pretty much it. And then you just had special effects. There was nothing special about that movie besides the special effects. The storyline was bleh. All right.
I read the book because that movie was based on the novel Dreams by Sapphire.
For real. Yeah. Yep.
Great book. Push was fine, but not Sapphire's best work.
Sure.
I'm still out here holding it down for Sapphire. Miss you, girl. Miss you every day. I'm not sure if she's dead or not. But
I don't think so. But
not to me. She lives on to me. I'll tell you that much. You live on to me, Sapphire.
Oh, this is great. All right, anyone else got anything else? Any other overrated ones?
The only thing I'll say, I started to watch this movie. It's super quick. I started to watch it. I thought it was just the dumbest thing. I turned it off, but I know people always rave about it. Is American Psycho with Christian Bale.
Yeah.
Just,
really?
I like that didn't get into that movie. I haven't watched the whole movie, so I can't speak completely to it, but I watched it and was like, nah, this is dumb. Turned it off. Yeah. So I know that one's a little controversial because people seem to love the movie. Which reminds me, I'll tell you a movie. I got one for you right now. people seem to love this movie. And I watched this movie years after everyone said that they loved it. And I watched it and I just thought, like, is there a different version of this movie? Boondock Saints.
Bruh.
That's just a cult, man. That's a cult following.
Classic.
Yeah. It's a cult classic following, and people, you
didn't like it.
Yeah.
Go back and try to watch it. It. You'd rather watch a John Travolta movie.
Well, maybe
Brutal.
if it's the one based on
Phenomenon.
What was that? No, the other one. The
the one where he's like
big monster.
Big monster alien. I know what you're talking about.
Oh, like
based on Scientology or something.
Oh yes, pretty much like a biography of Scientology.
Oh my gosh,
is that Battlefield?
No.
Battlefield Earth.
Battlefield
Earth.
Yeah.
Exactly what it was. Yep. Oh, that's funny. No, I love Boondock Saints, and I loved the Christian Bale movie. Yeah.
There you go. So you do have terrible taste.
Yeah.
So
listen.
So not a top 5, but one